Hello, welcome to Prospect, Kentucky for our next edition on April 4th, 2020 of Bourbon and Books with the Doctor. I'm Dr. Andrew DeGruccio, orthopedic surgeon and amateur mixologist, and tonight I'm going to bring you one of my fan favorite cocktails, the Black and Honey Kentucky Mule. And then we'll combine that with tonight's book reference at the end. Just so that you notice, we've got our lights lit green. This is in memory of those that have passed from the coronavirus. We're still in our coronavirus isolation and quarantine, and we're still mixing cocktails for ourselves. We're not having a cocktail party. In any case, let's get to our cocktail. In this cocktail, we're going to be doing some muddling. The Black and Honey comes from blackberries, again, a regional favorite. We're going to put some blackberries in our graduated mixer. And I always like to use some mint leaves with my blackberries. So I'll take a few mint leaves. I only have a few left. I'm just trying to get a little bit of an herb to go with the blackberry. And then we need some honey. Now, honey is got a very strong flavor for cocktails, and it is harder to mix, so you don't necessarily have to put as much as simple syrup, but we do want to sweeten those blackberries because you never know how sweet they're going to be. So we'll go ahead and start to muddle those right now with our miniature Louisville Slugger. Give them a nice crushing. Mix the honey with the berries and the mint. You get a great, delightful aroma out of that already. Now the other thing, when you're working with muddling fruit, you never know. Is it going to be adequately sweet? Is it going to be tasteless? So that is why you also have to add your lemon juice. And in this cocktail, as with most that you use with fresh muddled fruit, you want to add about an ounce, half an ounce to an ounce of lemon juice. That really livens up the fruit taste and gives it a zing. So now we have our sweet from our honey and our zing from our lemon, and you can mix that up again. Now, the next ingredient that I add to this, simply to make sure that we're going to get a nice fruit taste, is I use pomegranate liqueur, or PAMA again, and I'm going to put about an ounce of that in there just to ensure a nice fruit punch to this. And then we're going to use our Rebel Yell tonight. Rebel Yell was the inspiration for Billy Idol's song, Rebel Yell. It was Keith Richards that had recommended that Billy Idol try his favorite bourbon, and that was Rebel Yell. And so we're going to take 2 ounces of that. To give it our bourbon punch. Put that over there for later. And I'm going to add some blackstrap bitters to help with the aromas tonight. And that should be plenty. Now, I do think this is a cocktail that could be better done shaken, because you have your fresh fruits, you've got your herbs, and you've mixed a lot of stuff in there. So let's go ahead and pour that into our shaker, get those together, and give it a good shake. And then we're going to want to double strain this, because we've got a lot of particulate material in there, and we just don't need that in our cocktail. I'm pouring that into our Mule copper flask, And it's already got ice in it, so it's nice and cold. And again, those get really cold. So we'll get all of that out of there. And when I strain blackberries, I find that it does go through the strainer rather slow. I'll just help that through that way. Okay, so that's the majority of it. Of course, for a mule, we're going to top it off with Kroger brand ginger beer. And we're really giving this about a good 4 ounces, maybe up to 6 ounces of ginger beer. And then you can stir that. Give it a good mix. And I've already made myself a garnish of a lime twist with a blackberry on it, like that. And that's our Black and Honey Kentucky Mule variant. That's our cocktail for today. Let me give that a taste for you. It's fruity, it's zippy, it's tangy, and just enough bourbon that you get that oakiness at the end. Again, that's one of my fan favorites here. Everyone asks me to make one of those when they come to visit. Now let's pair that with our book. Again, sticking in our nonfiction genre, that's what I read. I have a favorite book here, The President is a Sick Man, by Matthew Algeo. This is an interesting tale of American presidential history. Grover Cleveland is the topic here, and it talks about in 1893 one of the greatest deceptions that the American government ever perpetrated on the United States of America. You see, Grover Cleveland had an oral cancer, and it probably would have killed him. So they had to do a secret surgery on Grover Cleveland at a time where we didn't have formal anesthesia, where surgery was still very rudimentary and most people had serious complications. So there was serious doubts that Grover Cleveland could survive this. But killing the president, doing a surgery on him, was a very serious matter. And this book points out that in 1893, the vice president was the person that came in second in the balloting for president. As you might imagine, there were implications there as to the person that was most interested in seeing you knocked off might be your vice president. It's why we change things over time. So this book talks about the politics at the time, the reason why Grover Cleveland had to keep this surgery and his ailment completely secret because he was afraid his strength of control of the country would be lost. This deception was perpetrated so well, he disappeared on a yacht out in the bay where the surgery was performed, and even his wife never knew. They even had a cosmetic prosthetist make half a face for him so that he could look almost normal despite the fact that they removed much of his jaw and mandible. So it's a very interesting story about American presidential history, something I never learned in school, really goes over politics, and a very interesting time in American history. It's called The President is a Sick Man. So that will go very well with a nice stiff cocktail. Again, thanks for joining me. Go to my YouTube channel, watch all of the previous cocktails. Make a few of these, try them. Sit down with a book, enjoy it. You've got plenty of time on your hand because you, probably like me, we're locked up in our houses. We're still self-isolating, quarantine, healthy at home, not going to work very much, not much work to go to. We've still got several more weeks to go in this coronavirus issue, so be safe, wash your hands, continue your social distancing, and enjoy a cocktail in the safety of your home.